Monaco roll over Red Star 5-1 at home. Jules, they're going great in the league and in Europe. Should Paris Saint-Germain be a little bit concerned?
I think so, Gav. I think so. And I think whoever plays them in Europe, and they beat Barcelona, who were down to 10. Remember, Eric Garcia got that red card early. So, and then they played Zagreb and Red Star Belgrade. So we'll see. Let's wait a little bit more. But Akliush, Golovin, Mbolo, Minamino were on fire in that game. It could have been 10 goals, really. They had that many chances. In the league, the top of the table with PSG, just behind them on goal difference. But going great, still unbeaten, by the way, in all competitions. And there's not many teams like that in Europe right now. So it's really, really impressive what Adi Hutter is. And they are, as you would expect, talking to him about extending his contract, because not so much last season where they started well and then faded in the second half of the season, but this year so far they've been outstanding, really, really outstanding.
Can I just say, for those who watch the game on television and you see those big empty spaces in the stadium, please, residents of Monaco and Cap d'Ai, go and watch this team, not just when it's like Barcelona coming into town.
As you know, there's not many people in Monaco in the winter.
But there's many people who live around there.
I know, but then...
they're all Nice or Marseille fans.
Nice fans don't go to watch Monaco. Marseille fans neither.
Cannes fans?
Maybe.
Juan Le Pen fans?
I don't know, but if you think just purely, there's like 8,000 people who live in Monaco.
You're right.
Officially.
There's 30. No, I think it's more like 35,000.
But in the winter.
Yeah, no, none of them are there, but still, there's other places around. I don't know. It's just weird.
But you could hear a lot of noise, but that was the Red Star Belgrade away fans who were. Sporting win away to Sturm Graz. Gab, everyone is on Gokieres watch. So, how did he do?
So, on the first goal, he completely whiffs it.
Yeah.
He looks just like a big, clumsy man.
He does. A bit like Soloth, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
On the second goal, and by the way, Sturm Graz, not very good.
No good. We said that.
On the second goal, my goodness.
He looks like Haaland then.
No, you know what he looked like? I'm going to refer back to the Eagles win against the Giants.
Yeah.
He looks like Saquon Barkley. Strength and power and speed. He just accelerates down the sideline, goes inside, nice finish.
How did you manage to bring Barkley in this chat?
Because you have to. Come on. We finally have a win.
I don't know how the Giants playing, but anyway, that's for another show.
Because Gyökeres is a giant. There you go. By Portuguese standards. Anyway, Miguel Gutierrez and a gorgeous Juanpe free kick give Girona their first points, a 2-0 win over Slovan Bratislava. Jules, I guess it helps that you're playing Slovan?
Yeah, they're a terrible team. We've said that many times before, and they will be terrible until the end of this competition. But for Girona, it's good. Remember, they had a decent performance against PSG. Were unlucky. The Gazzaniga own goal right at the end. Against Feyenoord, they were good at home, pushed, and then obviously got done on the counter and lost that late as well. This time, it took their time, but they scored. And for Juanpe to score, lovely, lovely story. So they're off the mark. Finally, the Montevideo, the atmosphere was great. So good for Mitchell as well. And it's just brilliant.
By the way, if I can make a brief digression on this, on the teams on 0 points, like Slovan, like Leipzig, I guess, and Sturm Graz and whatever. Because of the format of this, we're 3 games in. If you lose your first 3 games...
Yeah, that's true. And win the next 5, you still go through.
No, but they don't even... I mean, what I'm saying is it depends. I don't know who all they've played, right? But if I'm Slovan, hypothetically, because I don't have the schedule in front of me, but if I've got 2 pot 4 teams left to play, then I can still tell myself I'm still in this, because if I get 2 wins there, and I manage 1 more win at home, maybe against a pot 3 team or whatever else.
Although they play Celtic and Girona already.
But whatever. If I've already paid my pot 4 teams, yes, then I'm in trouble. But, we're discovering this new format. Yeah. That's what I'm driving at.
That's true.
Speaking of pot 4, Salzburg lose at home.
That's me for you, I think. Yes, because Salzburg, you're right, Gabby, lose again at home, and this time against Dinamo Zagreb. They got their goalkeeper sent off too, and Pep Linders is having a really, really tough time.
Okay. Can we come out and say this? Salzburg, owned by what energy drink conglomerate?
Yes, RB.
How many points? 0.
0.
Leipzig, owned by what energy drink conglomerate? How many points?
0.
Do you think this is God punishing Red Bull for their evil actions over the years?
No, because as you said, they both are going to win the next 5 games and go through. So
I don't know. The thing about Salzburg is they're not just bad in Europe; they're bad domestically as well. They are 4th in the Austrian league. They're 6 points back. That's pretty hard to do. Pep Linders. All those years when he was, Klopp's number 2, it's like, oh, Pep Linders could take over. He's the brains behind the operation.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, maybe Pep Linders was not the brains behind the operation of Liverpool. Maybe it actually was Jurgen Klopp. Maybe it was the people upstairs who bought the players. Maybe it was the rest of Klopp's backroom staff, including the weird guy who looks like a mini-me version of him.
Yeah,
what's his name? I always blank, but whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe it's not the other Pep, as some people.
And it shows again that you can be a good number 2, a great number 2. That doesn't make you automatically a very good number 1. And remember, he was a number 1 before in the Eredivisie at NAC Breda, and that didn't go well either. And this is going terribly in a team like you, at least domestically, is the best. I know Sturm Graz won the title last season in Austria, but usually Salzburg are.
Well, because their budget is like 10 times everybody else's. Yeah.
So.
And shout out also to my man Petkovic. Great long. I loved. We saw
like Zagreb.
Can I say something? This is the weekend where we saw big people do big people type stuff. Haaland, Gyökeres, Petkovic.
I mean, Petkovic's goal is nowhere near like athletic in terms of athleticism. What Haaland and
I didn't think he would score from that far out.
No, true, but it's a good shot. It's just still a shot. But it's lovely. And Zagreb have really, really talented kids.
Xavi is the latest name to be linked with Manchester United, with some outlets reporting that he had meetings with club officials. Jules, your take?
I love Xavi. I like him as a player. I liked him as a manager, even if obviously it was a tough context and everything that happened at Barcelona the second season after they won the title in his first full season. So, anything other than Ten Hag, I'm all for anyway. So I'll give it a go. I'll give it Xavi a go. But I don't know if this is true or not. I haven't been able to be fair, I haven't checked or I don't know.
Maybe he bumped into Omar Barada in a restaurant.
But if it's true again, how much does that undermine Ten Hag more? And again, it's a case of they wanted Tuchel, or they could have had Tuchel, but he chose England. Now they're looking at Xavi as the number 1, just waiting for a defeat this weekend or something like that, or defeat against Fenerbahce in the Europa League on Thursday night, and then they get rid of him and bring Xavi in. Do you see what I mean?
I love Xavi. I don't know that he would be a great fit at Manchester United.
No, I know.
For where they are now. At the same time, for whatever Ten Hag says about his lies and fairy tales and whatever, I mean, dude, Manchester United's directors would not be doing their job if they didn't consider Plan Bs, because you are underachieving right now. You are 11th in the table. Yeah. So they're doing their job. You're doing your job. And let's wait and see. I don't think there's an ultimatum. Oh, if you lose at the weekend, you're gone. That would be stupid.
Yeah.
But they're going to draw their own conclusions. And the January transfer window is coming up. And everybody knows what that means. And I think Ten Hag knows what that means too.
I agree. The Daily Mail, reports here in England that Barcelona Atletico Madrid on the weekend of December 22nd is likely to be played in Miami. That's right. You are Miami in the US. No, there's no Miami anywhere in Spain. That's in the US. Gab, it will be the first regular season game to be played in the US, I believe, not just from La Liga, but from any of the big 5 leagues.
That's right. Now, so this story, a couple of things to say here. This story emanates from Spain, and there's another story now saying, Atletico Madrid have given the green light. There's a couple of problems here. So, first of all, on December 22nd, the Miami Dolphins play the San Francisco 49ers at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, which is the big stadium in Miami. So unless La Liga want to play their game at the little crappy Fisher-Price piece of junk where Lionel Messi has to play.
Miami has to play.
Yeah, in front of 20,000 people. It ain't happening.
They can play the 23rd, right?
The day after?
Yeah.
What, after you've
the
had
NFL, I mean, I know
after the NFL's torn up the pitch?
You've got like Tyreek Hill, just but still,
I guess. There's a lot of hoops to jump through.
Yeah.
Still, people have made a big deal out of the fact that there was a whole legal case against FIFA and should they have jurisdiction about blocking games. Then FIFA were dropped from the lawsuit. There's still people who have to sign off on this, including the Spanish FA. I'm not sure what direction they're going to go in. And the U.S. Soccer Federation sign off on this. Now, the U.S. Soccer Federation and MLS are not the same thing. Mm. However, realistically, MLS has a lot of pull. And I refer you back to something Don Garber said very recently. he was referring about the Premier League. I think he was talking about the Premier League playing in the US, but I think it's exactly the same thing. He said, I, for one, know the value of a regular season game. I know what it means to fans. I know what sovereignty means, that football is based around borders. I believe in the importance of those borders.
Yes.
And then he ran off and built a wall. No, just kidding. Look, so I think they're kind of trying to force it, see what the reaction is. FIFA have gone away to make a working group to decide whether they're going to allow this or not. Or, I mean, they can't allow this, I think, on their own unless they tear up their own rules.
Yeah.
But this feels to me like one of those things where FIFA are like, yeah, we'll go take care of this. And then it kind of gets buried in FIFA land.
Yeah,
until
but that Tebas is pushing hard for it.
He can push all he wants.
Yeah,
but,
true,
it's not like he's Gianni Infantino's mate.
No, true.
It's the kind of thing where I think, FIFA sit on it until it can maybe become a useful bargaining chip somehow.
Maybe.
I don't know.
We've talked about, I'm completely against it. I think it would be an absolute disgrace to take that game away from Barcelona fans and Atletico Madrid fans in Madrid and in Barcelona, where your community is, where your fans, the hardcore, or the biggest fans that you have is obviously there, where the team is, where the team lives, where the stadium is. And I think it'd be an absolute disgrace.
You have no problem when the Jacksonville Jaguars play here in London once a year?
Oh, I'm against that too. I don't go to those matches, and I don't.
But the Jags have no fans. I think that's a difference.
Okay. Fair enough.
No, I'm just kidding there. Sorry, Tony Khan, but yeah, you do. You have some attendance issues, I think, relative to other clubs. But whatever. Yeah, look, I'm against it too. I don't see the need of it. It's different than when the NFL, the NBA, the NHL do it, I think, because there's a very different dynamic, because those leagues, first of all, are head and shoulders above everybody else.
Yeah.
La Liga is head and shoulders above MLS, perhaps, but not above every other league.
Yeah.
I don't know how much it actually promotes the game. I think this feels like a jolly in Miami for certain people and sponsors and television executives, like our bosses, perhaps.
Yeah.
But I think that's about it. Jose Mourinho joked that if City are punished as a result of the Premier League inquiry and their 115 charges, that Manchester United owe him a bonus and a medal. Makes sense, right? He wasn't joking.
He was on great form on Wednesday in his press conference before the game on Thursday, which sometimes, we hate draws or we watch them and we would just take from what they are. But sometimes draws are pretty good. When they bring Jose Mourinho against Manchester United and Erik Ten Hag again in Europe with Fenerbahce, he was on great form. Talking about how good he was in that season where they won the Europa League in 2018 and finished second behind City, and then joking, obviously, that if in those charges, City are docked points or stripped of their titles or some of the titles, then maybe United then would win the title in 2018. He would get his medal and the bonus that was likely in his contract for winning a Premier League. So, great Mourinho. I just can't wait for that game on Thursday. It's going to be exceptional.
This is fun, likable, intelligent Mourinho.
Yeah,
when he says
exactly.
Stuff like this.
Exactly. It's not always like that. More City, Gabby. The Premier League held another meeting of clubs to try to resolve the situation with these APT rules. How did it go?
It did not go well. It was described as quote unquote feisty. By insiders. Simon Cliff, who you can imagine how likable he is. He's a lawyer for he's Manchester City's legal counsel. And his name is Simon, which he showed up and he said, look,
Simons.
There's good Simons and bad Simons. Put it that way. Somebody paid for, I think, a City fan group, paid for this billboard outside.
Yes.
Said Richard's Masters, and it showed like the Arsenal logo, the United logo. It's a whole cartel argument.
Liverpool and Spurs.
Look, I don't want to bore everybody with this whole thing. There were 3 parts, which I think of the associated party transaction rules, which the Premier League need to revise based on the judgment.
Yeah.
One is that the burden of proof to show that your sponsorship deal is a fair market value and not some inflated nonsense from the company which you also own.
Your parent company.
Exactly. That the burden of proof shouldn't fall on the club, that it should fall on the league, which I think is probably fair enough.
Yeah, I think so.
2, which I think City are stupid to be arguing this. I don't see how this is even an argument, is that the information on sponsorship deals should be shared between the clubs. Clubs always say, oh, no, but it's a secret. I'm like, dude, they all know, okay?
Yeah.
And then, come on, just stop with that. And 3rd, that shareholder loans, and this affects more clubs than others. So in other words, Kroenke or Tony Bloom is one of the big guys who does this. They loan money to their own club at zero interest, that actually, at least for the calculation, the club should be paying interest on it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's kind of a form of equity, right?
Yeah.
Which again, I think City have a point here.
Yeah.
The arch problem with this, other than the fact that it's incredibly boring, and I hope people haven't switched off, is that the Premier League is so secretive and so untransparent, and their systems are so dumb. I spoke to the owner of a Premier League club, and one of the upshots of this is they have to go back to the 3 judges on the panel and ask them, hey, in your explanation, what did you actually mean by this? Can we get clarity? People wonder, well, why can City say they won while the Premier League say they won? It's because the judgment, at least to the rank and file Premier League clubs, is clear as mud.
Yeah.
So they need to seek extra clarification. On top of that, it's all pretty much behind closed doors because they wrote the Premier League in such a way. They go, no, it's our little closed shop. And so people get confused. People lie. They need to seriously sit down and rewrite these rules in goodwill for the good of everybody and make them more transparent. But I don't see how you can do it in the current climate when you have one club that feels persecuted and as a result is just suing the league, in other words, their business partners, left, right, and center. So this is going to take a long, long time to resolve.
Yeah.
So on Monday, you were away, Jules,
Yeah.
and Rob Palmer did a fine job replacing you. I mean, as fine as a replacement can do, nothing
Thank
like
you.
the original. Rob is fantastic, but this may surprise you. He is not as swatted up as you are on 2 subjects. One is football in Paris, and the other is luxury brands.
Thank you.
That's why I'm going to ask you what I asked him.
Yeah.
How big a deal is this proposed takeover of Paris FC, who are in the promotion spots in Ligue 2?
Top of the 2nd division,
They're going to be taken over, reportedly, by Red Bull, who, as we know, are very good at developing young talent, of which there is a ton in Paris, and LVMH, which is this massive conglomerate of everything from Louis Vuitton to Bulgari to those Tag Heuer watches I don't like, and Bernard Arnault,
the Arnault
who
family.
is a billionaire, and I believe he's maybe the richest
Third
French.
richest man in the world. First in France and third in the world.
Are you a little worried here?
So I think this is fascinating.
Is he from Paris?
They are Paris.
Paris born and bred. Oh, Jules.
Which is fine with me. I mean, the thing with Paris FC is
they don't have any fans that they have to
it's
give
not so
away
much that
tickets.
they don't have a stadium either for now. It's more that it would always be, I think, more of a friendly rivalry. It's a team that has always been amazing at grassroots level with youth teams. That some top world-class players right now, somebody like Ibrahima Konate, for example, or Presnel Kimpembe, those kind of guys I've played with before going to a bigger academy with a better first team, because the first team at Paris FC was never great when I was growing up. I almost played for Paris FC. I turned them down, as you know, to go to another club in Paris. But they've always great. But people in Paris have always liked them because they were just promoting youth football and grassroots, and they were great for all the kids of the area in that part of Paris, the east, but also of the whole capital. So great. But there was never really a rivalry with PSG, for example, because they were never in the same league, not just physically in the same league as in where they played, but also in the same league in terms of exposure, how big they were. Paris FC is not a big club. So this would be amazing for the city in itself. I welcome every sort of competition because you make each other better, obviously. I love the fact that, Red Bull will only own 10%, so that's not a big deal. The big deal is LVMH, really. And the Arnault family, who are, as you said, worth 190 billion, not millions, billions, 190 billions. Euros.
So they could buy Sheikh Mansour.
They can do anything they
put
want.
Him in a refrigerator.
They don't even look at Sheikh Mansour.
They'd rather sell him stuff.
Yeah, so it's incredible. They will be at the game at the weekend, for example, in the league. And it's just, I think it's just.
I'm going to press on with this. I'm fascinated by it. They never had much interest in actual football.
No.
Until now. They have interest in other sports.
Yeah.
I think they're very close to Roger Federer, among others.
Yeah.
They're known for luxury brands. Paris Saint-Germain, in some ways, has kind of built itself as a luxury brand because of where the Parc de France is.
all of
the
lifestyle
16th
brand,
and all this stuff. I'm wondering, Paris Saint-Germain has an issue with the people who own the Parc de France. Could we see something like Paris FC move in there? And maybe, Paris is a luxury destination to many people. It's an expensive city to visit.
Yeah.
They've got the money. Can you actually, again, I'm not a marketing guy. I'm not expert in luxury brands.
But you're right.
Could you wrap it up in, okay, Louis Vuitton luggage, I think is a bit gaudy, but again.
It's not at all. I disagree with that.
Bulgari is a legit brand.
Vuitton
Hennessy, Moet, whatever. Could you wrap this all up and kind of create a boutique football club based on youth and expensive
I mean, I think they have great plans. They have great ideas already. It will take time. Obviously, because as we said, they don't even have a stadium. So they can't play in the Parc des Princes right now because it's obviously not theirs. It's the city of Paris loaning it, if you want, to PSG. But you're right, they might be potentially... I know because the PSG have another...
The lease doesn't allow it?
Yeah. For another 10 years, I think, or something. So it would take time. But for example, they would like to play at the Jean-Bouin Stadium, which is the Stade Francais rugby team stadium, which is literally across the road. And when I say across the road, there's just a little street between the Parc des Princes and the Jean-Bouin Stadium, which again is complicated because you can't have the two teams playing at the same time or even the same weekend. So it's complicated. But if they go up, what they have to do, and that would accelerate the process even more of their development, the takeover will happen soon, is that if they can go up this season, and right now they're the best team in Ligue 2, they've got players like Maxime Lopez, remember, the former Sassuolo and Marseille midfielder, Jean-Philippe Crasso is a really good player for that level. So they're walking the league right now in the second division. So if they go up, which they should, that would be great for them to have them in Liga next season. And then that will accelerate the development and this process of the takeover and getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Okay, one last thing on this. You have to explain this to me, why it's a friendly rivalry. Because, as we know, and I love to rib you about this, despite the fact that FIFA, I believe, was founded in Paris, for some reason, Parisian clubs are not very old. Paris Saint-Germain...
That's not true.
Paris Saint-Germain goes all the way back to what, 1969?
70. But before they were called something else.
But
they just merged.
So according to Wikipedia, which is never wrong, Paris FC and Saint-Germain, the clubs, merged to become Paris Saint-Germain. And then after a year or two, Paris FC left and became their own club in 1971. So they're splitters. And there's a Monty Python reference. This doesn't generate some rivalry. They were together and they broke apart.
Again, they were never in the same league. So at youth level, for example.
But they were the same club for 2 years.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, they were, but a long time ago.
Okay.
But PSG was
1970. It's not like...
I know, but like, it was... But they never compete. Even at youth level, PSG were always the best team anywhere, under 17, under 15 in the top division. But Paris FC were great at youth level, but still not as good as PSG. Okay. So that's why.
All right. Sorry, I thought it was.
But for example, I think Paris FC is a lot of Parisian second club after PSG, for example. That's how we always want them to do well.
Right. Are they rivals in women's football? Paris FC have a very good women's team.
They have, but still.
Are they rivals there, or are they all just like?
They are getting better and better, but they're still behind PSG too in every respect and stuff. But it's great. It's absolutely.
Sorry for the long digression. I find this story absolutely
it's a great story.
Fascinating.
Great story. Back to cricket now after this long
hit.
Group of more than 100 professional women footballers, Gabi, have written to FIFA are urging them to end their sponsorship. So FIFA sponsorship deal with Saudi Aramco, citing human rights concerns. What do you make of it?
So basically, they came out and they said they talked about Saudi Arabia's brutal human rights reputation, its treatment of women. They stand alongside the citizens of Saudi Arabia whose human rights are violated. They don't want to be part of covering up the violations. So they urge FIFA to reconsider this partnership and replace Saudi Aramco, which isn't just a Saudi company, but is directly owned or part owned by the Saudi government, with alternative sponsors whose values align with gender equality, human rights, and the safe future of our planet. FIFA have responded saying, guys, it's this sponsorship money which allows us to continue to develop women's football and stuff like that. I struggle with this a little bit, and I find
from the players.
Yeah, look, I have no problem with somebody taking a stand for what they believe in, and I think they have every right to. And I think it's puerile to come out and say, "Oh no, look, you're getting paid, so shut up." No. I find the narrative interesting. I find it really interesting that these professional women footballers care about this, whereas, say, Newcastle players don't care. Right?
Yeah.
Neymar doesn't care, presumably. by the same token, I think people need to also educate themselves a little bit. If I were FIFA, what I would do today, or the Saudis, I would get these women. I would say, I would invite them to Saudi Arabia, and I would invite them to go and look at the Saudi Pro League that they've set up. They've set up a women's league in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
And the women's league has foreign women playing there. And go there, meet them, talk to these women, and then decide for yourself where you want to stand. Because it's very easy to be cartoonish and lampoon somebody. It's also very easy to get into a whole thing of whataboutery, right? Because people say, oh, what about Saudi? Well, what about, Russia? What about the US and guns and blah, 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 and then bring politics into it. If after you go there, you say, you know what? You may be spending money on the women's game, but I still have a serious problem with your views on LGBTQ rights. I have a serious problem with the fact you're an autocratic regime. I have a serious problem that, you rule because you think God made you crown prince or whatever. I don't want part of this money. Then I doff my hat to you and I respect you and I respect your view. But I think there is so much manipulation on both sides on this issue that I think above all, we need clarity. And what FIFA can do, I think, as kind of the people who are stuck in between, rather than saying, well, this money goes to finance all this other stuff, which is true and which is a real world pragmatic thing, people might also say, I don't want blood money, if that's how they consider it, right? Just go, let's have more transparency. Let's invite these people over and let's see what this is all about. That humiliation against Marseille means Montpellier have a new boss. It's Jean-Louis Gasset, Jules.
That's right, Jean-Louis. Joe Biden Gasset. Remember how the Marseille fans nicknamed him last season when he took over?
This is really encouraging. Yeah, it feels really, really good.
His age is 72, I think, or something like that.
He's not kidding around.
Obviously, an incredible relationship with Montpellier through history because he played for them, he managed them before. He's heavily linked. He said, I could not say no to Montpellier. This is my life, which is fair enough. I'm not sure if he's the answer to a team that lacks so much talent and is bottom of the table, or second from bottom in the league. They were terrible at the weekend. There were problems in the crowds with the ultras and all of that. So good luck to him. I guess what he's good at is cuddling players and making them feel loved and bringing them
kindly grandpa.
Yeah, exactly. That confidence high like that, and started really well with Marseille last season when they brought him on for 100 days or so. Then after that, kind of that's the problem with the cuddling. Then you need more tactically.
You need a stick to go with the carrot.
A little bit. So let's see. But it certainly could not be worse than under Michel Darsakarian, who we replaced. So let's see. Trouble in Africa, Gabi, where some $16 million has gone missing from the Confederation of African Football, so the CAF, and the General Secretary is fighting with his own audit committee. What's going on? Yeah,
this is an odd one. So the General Secretary is Veron Mosengo Omba. They have an audit and compliance committee whose job there is to go through all the books and say, okay,
to make sure that money doesn't disappear.
Yeah, what was this money spent from? Can you explain why it was spent here? What's the justification? Every corporation has this. We have one here. They go through my expenses all the time. Sometimes they give me a hard time. And so they took issue with how some of this money was spent. And they say it's missing. It's not really missing. It was spent. The question is, how was it spent? Was it spent the right way? How was it accounted for? And so what the General Secretary did, he hired his own auditor to go and kind of audit the audit. And because he hired him, the allegation, the Audit and Compliance Committee are saying, well, wait a minute, you hired this dude. He's going to come and say, oh, look, it's not the General Secretary's fault. We're wrong. We're mean. We're political. And he's saying, yeah, but because you are wrong and mean and political. FIFA have played a really big role in CAF. I mean, FIFA critics say they've pretty much taken over CAF. This is a great opportunity for FIFA to go and put a little bit of order. It's a political organization. It's a politicized organization, like most governing bodies around the world. I don't think UEFA is any different. But this is a really bad look. This feels like there are people having internal vendettas. And I mean both sides here. Again, I'm not just saying it's always about both sides, but General Secretary feels under attack.
Yeah.
Audit and Compliance Committee feels delegitimized. It's not like both things can be true, right? We need somebody. And if it takes, I would much I'd feel better in this situation if it's FIFA who steps in, brings some nerdy accountants from Zurich, go through the numbers and say, yeah, this is fine. No, this is not fine, rather than some external guy actually hired by CAF.
This is crazy.